Hey guys, this is Jay. Welcome to the garage. I am currently getting ready for a fight club, which I'm hosting here. And if you don't know what Fight Club is, me and my buddy Rich and a couple of other friends of mine have been detailing what Fight Club is over a series of 3 podcasts, and we're about to finish next week with the last podcast. But it's Fight Club is really evidence that this, what we've been talking about, really works, and that when you trust God, things happen that you just can't orchestrate on your own. I have a buddy of mine, well, some of you know him, Morgan Snyder, and he once said to me, yeah, impossible is easy. And I took a while to really begin wrapping my mind around it, but really that's an interesting description of the supernatural life and the life that we are invited into as sons of God, is that when you look at something and you think, that's within my capacity, my skill set, my gifting, I can do that, very often we'll struggle, and the level of success and power that that thing will have is really minimal. Where things really get exciting is when you are challenged and you feel like you're being led to do something that you know is just way outside your comfort zone. It doesn't take much. I've learned over time you just need some wood and one of these little fire pits, and I usually offer some drinks and a chair, and then I've got these lights that we string up, got some cigars, a little camp table. It's really a fun opportunity for me to pull out a bunch of stuff that I really don't get to use often enough, frankly. And then we just walk back there into the green belt. Guys just need other men to be real with, and that's really rare today. We often put on a pretend self, and especially in religious circles, men tend to act like they've got everything together. And you know, there's a few honest men out there. A lot of people want to be honest, but a few honest men who are willing to get together with other guys and say, hey, I have questions, and I have some needs, and I've got some stories. And there's just no better way for guys to hang out and to feel relaxed than to be outside and to sit around a campfire, set up camp for a few hours, and you just never know what's going to happen and how God's going to show up. And that's what's interesting about trusting God like a child, because this was an experiment years ago that I felt like the Lord was saying, hey, you and some other guys, they could really use men to talk to. And I was like, that's not me at all. I've been in small groups. I don't even like them. Why would I want to try and host one? And then I have to, perform and teach and stuff like that. And he just said, no, trust me. And so over time, I've just began trusting him, and he's always come through. So I don't even know what I'm going to be talking about tonight, but I do know the stories in my life. There's probably 4 or 5 different narratives that I'm constantly thinking about right now, and God is interwoven in all of them. So, just with my daily scripture reading and everything, I am processing what my life looks like. And that means that at any given moment, I should have something to offer other men in terms of encouragement, and also questions to ask guys like, hey, how are you guys processing this? Or when this came up, what did you do? Or, and guys just need that. So that is what we are constructing over here. So here is really kind of the magic of the time at Fight Club is years ago when I wrestled with God about whether to do it. He said, look, you can either plan it and you can try and make it this really cool event where you look really impressive, or you can just offer who you are, and that will make a bunch of other men really comfortable simply being who they are. So what I have found is that even though I've got giftedness, it often gets in the way. I could play guitar, I could teach, I could go back and forth in the Bible, throwing a bunch of scriptures around at an impressive rate, which anyway, any amount of scriptures is really impressive. I'm not saying I don't do that. Of course I do that. That's the truth. That is what we're banking our lives and the offer of sonship on. I'm just saying that I have found I get a lot more joy and other men feel a lot more freedom by me simply showing up at the fire almost like them, right? So it took a lot of courage in the beginning to do it, but now it's a total joy, and it would really break my heart to not have a group of men to share a campfire with. And since then, you know, my son has started joining us. He just turned 18, so that's awesome. And he's gonna start hosting something like this with freshman boys and a couple of his senior friends. And that really excites me. So this is a format that you can invite a whole bunch of different demographics to sit around, and if you can walk with God in setting the stage well to help other people feel comfortable, then you never know what God's gonna do. So when all goes well, I set everything up, and that gives me a few minutes to sit here and to pray and prepare myself and anticipate good things. I used to really be fearful about failing and not coming through, and every once in a while, because I'm, you know, helping facilitate it, the enemy will definitely whisper, oh man, some of these guys traveled like an hour to be here. You better have something that's really a revelation. I wish I didn't wrestle with that anymore, but I do at times. But what I've learned over time is that even when there's nothing really outstanding that I feel like God comes and reveals to us, there's no phenomenal teaching, you know, nobody gets healed, or there's not some big revelation in a man's heart. Just being with other men, being honest, is enough. It is enough to fill a man's cup, just to be with other guys who are real. So the way that Fight Club works is that you just have to create an environment that's safe. It says in, King Solomon said in Proverbs that a word aptly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. And I didn't really understand what that meant for a long time. I know apples of gold in settings of silver. Okay, well, that's something that's really special. But in essence, what I realize my only job is to create an environment where men feel comfortable, accepted, loved. I mean, putting up the lights and giving them something to drink and a cheap cigar, that's enough. And then creating an environment that follows some simple rules right here. The rules are: story is king. All you do is you tell your story. I'm good, bro. It's all done. Thank you. So there's really not teaching. What we try and do is make Jesus the center of everything by sharing our stories and what God's teaching us or what God's done through our stories. So he's always the hero of the story. We're not the hero of the story. Second thing is we honor other men. There's a lot of ways that you can just shut guys down by listening to them but not listening well, interrupting, being really quick to add a story on top of it, instead of letting people stop and feel the weight of what this person just said. They would not have spoken had it not been important to them. And to feel the weight of it, to ask questions, helps to validate another man's story. And when you think about, wow, how have I felt what this guy is feeling right now? Or is there a story that I have where God has come through for me, where I can simply say, I don't know what the answer is to solve this dilemma that you might be in, but I will share with you a quick story. And then another guy shares a piece of his story, and God came through, and God said this, and like we're learning, like God is literally taking all the members of his body. It's like one guy's a thumb, another guy's a forefinger, another guy's a middle finger, and feels sometimes the guy's a middle finger. I'm just kidding. But you've got one body, many parts, and so simply by offering what you feel led to offer, doing it simply, not for your glory, but to allow men to see and experience what God's done and how he works, the level of wisdom by the end of the night, everybody gets elevated by it. Everybody is challenged by it. And over time, the level of change in a man's story, in his life, and the way that he thinks and his understanding of sonship, it just escalates faster than anybody else I know, faster than people who go to church and other Bible studies. What men desperately need is community. And so that's my only job here tonight. And I create community by telling a story. And frankly, I'm excited. I mean, if I'm walking with God, I always have something exciting to share. And because I'm processing and trying to be a better husband, or trying to figure out something at work, and God is involved in that, I know that when I courageously share my story, somebody or somehow God is going to offer me some encouragement in that. So everybody wins. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that everybody wins. So anyway, guys are going to start showing up here pretty soon, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time praying. Oh, the third rule is be yourself, which we actually have to help guys do. A lot of people don't know how to be themselves. The moment they get around other men, they start pretending like they know how, to do auto repair and lawn care, maintenance, and all this other stuff. They don't know how to be themselves, when in actuality, every man is unique and glorious, and we want to showcase that. We want men to feel comfortable with who they are, and what can be equally valuable and freeing is to feel good about who they're not. So guys, this is Jay, and in retrospect, reflecting on Fight Club last night, God always comes through, and he did it again last night. It was exactly what we needed, just walking with God. What ended up happening is, by the end of the night, we had practiced hearing God's voice, which we are beginning to do more and more, because we realize that this season that we're in, hearing his voice and learning how to speak encouraging words from the Lord to one another are incredibly important. We shared stories of what's going on. The question was asked, what is God teaching you? How is he shaping you and preparing you in the season that we're in right now? And we got to share that. And by the end of the evening, when everybody left at around 11 o'clock and the fire had been put out, everyone felt full, loved, encouraged, and the story, the narrative that so many of the world are being sucked into with fear and anxiety, that's just not the narrative that we were living under. And that's because we were able to share in a company of other men what was going on inside us, and hear what was going on inside other people. Guys, I just believe that this is something that so many men need. If you are interested in learning more about Fight Club, we actually want to make it as easy as possible for you to host one of these. And so that's why I'm putting out this video right here. And also on our website, beingsons.com. If you go to the Fight Club page, you will find a PDF that's absolutely free that walks you through what is Fight Club, what's the flow of Fight Club generally, what are the rules of Fight Club, some frequently asked questions, and we're going to be hosting some training in the future here for those of you who are interested in actually hosting one in your yard. I want to make that as easy as possible. So guys, thank you for joining me and for joining us as we walk the tried and true road to being sons.